Hello dear students, and welcome back to revise the second chapter. Now the second chapter is the story of Prospero. Prospero is starting to tell his daughter his story and why did he arrange that storm to harm the ship. Look here at him here. This picture shows how he was cruel and how did he arrange that magic storm, the tempest. As I told you before, he asked his servant Ariel to arrange that magic storm, to just let them feel afraid and not to harm anybody. While the storm was arranging and was working, his daughter Miranda started to beg him not to harm anybody of those people on the ship. And he started to calm her and told her to stop begging him because he's going to tell her the story. He started to tell her why did he harm those people, because they kicked him away from his kingdom for no reason he has done. Now come on to see through the comments to revise this story. Comment number 1. If with your art, my dearest father, you have caused these waters to roar, please stop it. Before saying anything for that comment, remember what I have said, that Miranda was begging her father to stop that storm. So again, answer, Miranda to her father Prospero. He was begging her father to stop the storm, to stop tempest and no harm for anyone, because she was feeling sorry for the people who sank in the sea. She heard their cries and wished if she had the power to make the earth swallow the sea before they sank. She needs to help them. And what does indicates? This indicates that Miranda had a kind heart and that her father was so powerful. As I told you before starting the next, he was a good man and didn't mean to harm anybody. And he started to tell his daughter the truth. And why did he do that? Miranda, my daughter, collect yourself. No one was harmed. Prospero to his daughter. He started to talk to her and not to lie. Prospero to his daughter Miranda. He was telling her to stay calm as no harm was done to anyone. He convinced her that there was no harm. This indicates that Prospero didn't have an evil heart. Everything he has done was for a purpose, an aim. He wanted, as I told you before at the beginning, he needed to take his revenge. Later he told her that everything he had done was for getting them afraid and was for the sake of her, because they were kicked out of their kingdom. They were kicked out of their kingdom when she was young at the midnight by his brother who was hungry of power and who deceived him for the king. He convinced the king to kick his brother out and take his position. That was Antonio, the deceiving one for his brother. Come on to see the next comment. Here, everything I have ever done has been for you, for my beautiful daughter. Here, Prospero started again to justify why did he arrange the storm. He didn't mean, as I told you before, to harm the people, but he wanted to let them be afraid and feel what he had felt with his daughter at midnight when he was kicked out of Milan. Who is ignorant of her own and her father's true identity? He started to reveal his identity in front of his daughter. Prospero to his daughter Miranda. Prospero wanted to let her see her father's identity, and he was no cruel one, but he was the person that he needed to take his revenge. Come on to see any other comment here to revise the story. Next slide, it shows. But before, read here to explain to his daughter the reason of causing the tempest. He wanted to tell. So he started to reveal his identity, started to tell the story, to explain to his daughter the reason of causing the tempest, the storm. He wanted to tell her about the reality of who he was and about his stolen kingdom. And who stole it? It was his brother. Since I was so engrossed in my studies, I lost control of both my brother and the state. Are you listening? This quote was said by Prospero when he started to reveal his reality, his story to his daughter. He started to tell her that he was busy, so busy in that time, and she was young, and his brother was so hungry of power, and he told the king that he was doing any magic, any studies against the kingdom. The king heard his brothers or Antonio's talks and kicked him away. Prospero told that to his daughter Miranda. I was so busy reading my books, and I trusted your uncle, who was her uncle, Antonio, to govern my state. The state was Milan. I still can't believe that a brother could be a disloyal. Keep in mind that word disloyal because Antonio was hungry of power and a disloyal for his brother. He was getting too ambitious, so he won over the people who used to be mine and had control over the government. So here, if we try to talk about Antonio, we have to describe him as the deceiving one, the disloyal brother, and the hungry of power. This indicates that Antonio was hungry of power. You have to show that quote at the end. Next quote or next slide can show the other incidents. Can you remember a time before we came to this place? Here he is still asking his daughter about a last memory when she was young and was kicked with her father because of her disloyal, deceiving uncle. Prospero to his daughter Miranda, he wanted to tell her about their reality. He's revealing the story and the stolen kingdom. He was reminding her of their past when they used to live in a palace and had many servants to help her. He also told her about her kind-hearted mother when she was died. Also, how they reached this island by the full trick of her uncle Antonio. That was the story of Prospero to his daughter. I'm sorry. Before the work here is finished, now have you forgotten the torment I saved you from the state you were in? Who said this? Who said these words? The vicious old witch Syracuse? In that island there was a witch. Once Prospero and his daughter came. That witch called Syracuse then I will have to remind you once a month. Prospero to Ariel, he was talking to his servant Ariel, who arranged the storm, the tempest, according to Prospero's order. Prospero said to Ariel when the latter reminded, or the later one reminded the former of his promise. Ariel actually was talking to his master and asking him for 1 year arrest or off to be relieved from what he has done in tempest. And Prospero refused because he had a lot to do and he needed to finish all what he had arranged of missions, and Ariel has to help him. When the later reminded the former of his promise to take 1 year off of his punishment if he finished the tasks. So a year off his punishment if he finished the tasks of that day successfully. Ariel had done his mission successfully, and he was asking for that year to have a rest. But Prospero got angry and told Ariel that he couldn't allow this to be happened before finishing his work. He reminded Ariel of the wicked witch. The wicked witch was Syracuse, that had used to torture the later. The later here was Ariel. She treated him in a bad way and locked him in a tree before Prospero saved him out of that tree. Have you carried out the tempest precisely as I ordered Prospero to his loyal servant Ariel? That talk or that quote, actually it was from Prospero to his servant Ariel, and was asking him about had he finished the tempest, had he arranged the tempest accurately. So Ariel answered him that everything had been done successfully. Prospero wanted to know if Ariel, the spirit, the obedient spirit, had carried out, had done what his master asked him for, the former's orders, exactly as he asked him to do. And Ariel has done. Here, Ariel explained to Prospero that he frightened everyone. He meant to hear that he frightened everyone, the passengers, the people, the king and his companions on the ship. Ariel has made them afraid of being drowned in the sea. That was the answer of Ariel. He made them afraid, and however no one was harmed, because Prospero has promised his daughter that no one will be harmed. Come on to see if there is another quote to revise in that chapter. Yes, we have here. Please forgive me, Master. I'll be dutiful and do all you ask without complaining. Ariel to Prospero. First, Ariel wanted Prospero to talk or to take off 1 year of his punishment. He needed a rest, as I told you before, and reminded the later one of his promise. But when Prospero reminded Ariel that he released him from the torture of the witch out of the tree he was locked in, Ariel was then frightened and asked Prospero to forgive him and never to ask him again for a year rest, because he was afraid of his cruel master. Come on to see if there is another quote. Yes, we have still here. Please remember what good work I have done for you. According to the last quote, when Prospero was talking to his Ariel and his servant and reminded him for what he has done as a favor. So Ariel started to beg his master's burden to forgive him and never to ask him again for a year off or any other order or ask or request till he finished all the orders he asked him for. So here Ariel to his master Prospero, Ariel wanted to remind Prospero of his promise to take a 1 year off his punishment. If the foreman obeyed, he's going to be obedient to his master and obey the orders of his master, the letter I mean. He said that when Prospero told him that after the end of the tempest, after arranging the storm, there was still more work to do, and that work should be done carefully. Then Ariel was obedient and listened carefully to his master, and he promised him that he's gonna to arrange and be obedient to his orders. Who was standing on the shore? This is a question. Who was standing on the shore while the ship was being thrown? Describe them. Actually, at the beginning of chapter 1, I have mentioned that there were two figures in the other side of the shore, and those figures were for Prospero and his daughter. He was standing with his daughter, with his daughter to watch the tempest and how perfectly Ariel has arranged the storm. Come on to describe them. Prospero and his daughter Miranda. Prospero, the tall one, was so strong and didn't feel afraid. He was holding a strange staff with a shiny crystal on the top. The shorter figure was a beautiful girl called Miranda. She was Prospero's daughter. She had a long hair dancing in the wind, who was almost completely hidden behind her. Father, the red flowing robe. Now we have finished the revision of chapter 2 and 1, I think. Wishing you all the best. Thanks.